Yo, what is happening, guys? How are you doing? My name is Rob of Rule of Two Review, and welcome back. So earlier this week on Tuesday, something pretty huge happened, and it wasn't a good thing. A lot of us already know that EA did decide to close down Visceral Games. Visceral Games is a fairly well-known studio. They are most recently known for the Dead Space games, the first two of which are freaking awesome. The third was a weird game. It's like, I don't hate that game, and it's not bad, but I also do not like it, and it's not good. That aside, the other thing that they were known for was an upcoming brand new Star Wars game, which had a lot of people, obviously myself as a super Star Wars fan, and a lot of other big Star Wars fans and gamers, very excited. The idea and the prospect of playing some sort of smuggler, bounty hunter kind of character, and the tiny little itty bit of footage and concept art that they released was super exciting. And, you know, we've all been wanting more Star Wars games. We have a brand new trilogy happening, new movies that we thought we might not ever see 10, 12 years ago. And having a team like Visceral put on this project, a brand new Star Wars game, definitely sounded like a match made in heaven. But sadly, this news changed all of that. First and foremost, of course, a studio shutting down like this means a lot of people lose their jobs, and it means that there's some big shakeups and industry moves happening within one of the biggest companies in the industry behind the scenes. And there's been some turmoil with some companies owned by EA. Now with Visceral, of course, BioWare's had its own problems recently as well. So there's a lot going on there. And for those of you who are staunch followers of the channel, you probably even noticed that I had a video up for just a couple of hours the other day where I discussed the closing of Visceral, the details with Star Wars, and how that's affecting and changing the future of this Star Wars game, and it doesn't really sound great. And that video is no longer now available. The quick version is I ended up not really being very happy with the final product of that video and the conversation. I certainly stand by the opinions that I was sharing and the message that I was trying to get across. That was all genuine. But I listened to it again after making it live, and I was like, I just don't feel like this conversation properly conveyed the way I felt, and it just felt a little bit awkward, and it didn't feel like a good final product for me. And, you know, any of you out there who make YouTube videos on a regular basis, you probably know you take a certain level of kind of care and respect for the product that you put out there, and it just didn't feel right for me. So for now, it's not available, and I'll probably just keep it probably privated or deleted forever. But regardless, that's neither here nor there. That doesn't really have to do with what we're talking about today. Today, I want to continue a conversation that's kind of been sparked in the aftermath of what happened with EA closing Visceral Games and the decision to pivot and refocus the direction of this Star Wars game. The big thing from a variety of quotes which you can find, I'm going to try to link an article or two below for you guys to research if need be. The big thing coming away from that was it seemed like the initial plan for this Star Wars game was to make it very much a linear and story-based Star Wars adventure and experience. They even, of course, famously brought Amy Hennig over from Naughty Dog, who worked on like Uncharted 2 and 3 and other great things. She really understands that kind of game experience, that kind of storytelling, the characters, the direction of that kind of gaming world. And it was very exciting to put that all together with Visceral and with the Star Wars property. But this whole refocus and this pivoting that Patrick Soderlund from EA has been kind of telling us in the press makes it really sound that they were like, well, we don't want to make just a single-player offline story-based game. We want to make something that's probably more focused on online, on multiplayer, on an MMO experience, a shared universe, an open world, something akin to either just like a Battlefront or a Battlefield, or Call of Duty even, or something more akin to like a Destiny. And that, of course, opens up the floodgates for, you know, more microtransactions or loot boxes or DLC and season passes. The kind of thing that a linear story-based game, which, ooh, heaven forbid we release games like that, EA, you know, that kind of game maybe doesn't allow for all this supplementary purchase material that everyone in the gaming industry loves to just shove down our throats, despite the fact that most of us absolutely hate it. So now, thanks to a pretty interesting article from Polygon and a couple of other places, and some conversations happening online, it seems like there's a little bit of a debate or a conversation, which I happen to find pretty interesting, about whether or not we are really shifting more on the side of multiplayer games and companies are feeling less comfortable with focusing on single-player content and offline content, or whether or not that maybe isn't as true as it seems. A really good friend and fellow YouTuber of mine, Nia the Video Game, her and I had a couple of quick tweets and discussions back and forth about this exact topic, because she feels that some people were going overboard saying single player is dead, and she made a very good case that I do 100% agree with, that there are a lot of games and companies like Nintendo and Sony, for example, that are creating or developing with third parties a lot of solid offline single-player campaign sort of experiences. So while there's a problem, maybe it's not as heavy-handed as some people are saying. And that's kind of when I realized that there's a little bit of a conversation here, because we do kind of live in this world where we're seeing too much multiplayer stuff. We're seeing it thrown into games where it doesn't belong. Now we're seeing examples of huge companies taking a huge property in game and shifting the focus away from what it was supposed to be and something that feels right into something that we don't want: multiplayer, online, loot box, microtransaction stuff. So ultimately, what do I think is going on here? When I think about single player versus multiplayer, offline versus online, what do I feel about this? Well, at the end of the day, I absolutely do think we do have a bit of a problem when it comes to the force-fed online play kind of situation. I think we are seeing a lot of examples and a lot of companies that are feeling this is the way to make our games. And this is building off of what's also been a pretty hot topic this last week or so as well. Everything happening with loot boxes and microtransactions, which are a byproduct symptom of the idea of the online multiplayer focused game. Whether it's Shadow of War, whether it's NBA 2K, whether it's even the game I cannot wait for, Battlefront 2, coming out in a couple of weeks, we're seeing all of this stuff force-fed and shoehorned into games where maybe it doesn't belong. And there's a whole big conversation in a separate video I will make in another week or so. I'm not going to go into this tangent here. But this whole idea is stemming from the fact that game development and game budgets are ballooned out of just completely too high. There's just costs way too much to make a AAA or a high budget or a well-known video game anymore. If you're not an indie developer or a developer who's very smart with your resources and your money, which is usually Nintendo as a good example, you're making a game that's got a $200–300 million freaking budget, which is more than most Hollywood movies, and that is insane. And with that problem persisting more and more nowadays, we're seeing examples of companies say, well, we can't just make it a one-and-done $60 purchase, and that's the end of the money from the consumer. Oh no, we can't do that. So let's start to compromise the integrity of our game development and our art and our vision, and let's start to worry less about making fun, good quality games, and let's find a way to kind of trick people into this gambling sort of thing that's happening nowadays. Let's make them feel comfortable and at ease, and also coerce them to feel like I got to spend a couple of bucks every once in a while more on this game consistently, and they want us to keep coming back to a game so that we have more reasons to pull our debit and credit cards out and buy that special shoe or get that special weapon or get the next extra set of maps that's going to release over and over and over again. And suddenly they're getting, 9 purchases in 1 year out of a game, as opposed to just 1 to own the freaking thing. So yes, I have no choice but to agree that I do think this is a problem, and the industry is pushing more towards it. The Star Wars and the EA thing is easily one of the most current and biggest examples because of the blatantness of this decision. However, I do think it's fair to say the problem might not be as bad as it seems right now. I think we're trending in the bad direction, and I'm worried that it might continue and we might not be able to stop it. But if we stop and look in the here and now, I do think that it is a little bit better than a lot of people might be thinking. And again, credit and props to Nia. She was kind of making this case. As some other people, I think even OJ was saying some of this stuff as well. But regardless, I do think that this argument holds up, that there is a lot of quality offline and single-player content coming to gamers right now. And as was stated on Twitter, Sony and Nintendo, who are 2 of the 3 console manufacturers, are perfect and wonderful examples of that content. I mean, there are plenty of examples of a lot of games that have released already in this current generation, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, Wii U, that are very much focused on either single-player experiences or offline campaigns. Some of them do certainly have DLC available, but most of these games are still very complete. The DLC feels optional. It's not necessarily a season pass kind of situation. that's necessarily compromising that integrity that I'm talking about, and I think that it's really keeping this alive. I couldn't find many real Xbox examples, but there are plenty of other good ones from the other guys. Obviously, Mario games, the Mario series is not going to be online multiplayer or loot box heavy content. Nier released on the PlayStation 4, Bloodborne, of course, one of my favorite games. Neo also released on the PlayStation 4. Doom released last year. Yes, there's a multiplayer component, but it's still an offline-focused kind of game that doesn't require a bunch of extra purchases from you to make good or even to play online to get the best experience out of it. Obviously, the Uncharted series. Mario plus Rabbids came out just a couple of months ago. There will be upcoming DLC, but the game is very beefy and complete without any of that DLC. Zelda, I mean, I feel like that's a pretty well-known series and game that doesn't require any further purchases. Even though there are some available for the first time, it is absolutely not required to get 700 trillion hours of entertainment out of the most recent Zelda. Horizon Zero Dawn on the PlayStation 4, of course. Resident Evil, all of those games, including Resident Evil 7 from earlier this year. The Last Guardian, a Sony IP, offline only. And then even stuff that we haven't seen yet that we probably will see, like a Pikmin game or an Animal Crossing game, The Last of Us Part 2, all of that stuff. I mean, Metroid Prime 4. These are many, many games, many series, many new IPs that are so focused on not having to play with other people, not having to log into servers necessarily. Obviously, some of them allow that in some of their gameplay modes, but it's not the focus. And even if there is supplementary content available for a price, I don't think any of these titles I listed, and there are plenty of other ones as well that exist, don't require the complete experience for you to spend more money on, for you to buy a DLC or a skin pack or a loot box. And so we're kind of in this interesting period right now. You could call it a precarious position, and I think that that would be accurate. But regardless, we're in this period right now, in the end of 2017. The Switch is, brand new console, PS4, Xbox One out for a couple of years. Who knows what the future holds? We're like teetering in this gray area of it's becoming a problem. It's happening more and more. It's ruining a lot of games and series and genres that we like and being forced down our throats and we don't want it. But there is a lot of the stuff out there that speaks to the opposite as well, that is keeping the right fundamentals alive, that is keeping the offline single-player, fun, entertaining, kind of typical gaming experiences alive as well. And so I think what we have to do is just focus on the good and make our voices heard when it comes to the bad. Obviously, not just with our voices, but also with our wallets and our money. And it's a hard thing to fight because obviously there's probably more idiots out there pulling out their credit cards to buy these stupid loot boxes and stupid cards or whatever in FIFA and Destiny and Shadow of Mordor and all these different things. There obviously are way too many people out there doing that, but we have to continue to fight that fight the right way, and then also just focus our time, our energy, and our money on the good stuff and on the companies that are doing it right. And Nintendo and Sony and some of these other third parties doing great things out there do count for that, and I think it's important for us to pay attention to that. So single player versus multiplayer, when it comes down to this, it's interesting to see, man. Who knows where this is going to go. The Star Wars thing and the Visceral thing is a really, really bad move in the wrong direction right now, at least until we get further details. I should be fair and say one last thing here before ending this. We don't know that the Star Wars game is going to turn out in the worst way that we think it's going to, or that I think it's going to. We could be wrong. I could be wrong, and maybe they show us this amazing Star Wars game that is still kind of exactly what we want it to be. And if that happens, great. I will then address it at that time and say I was wrong. This game looks great. Let's get excited. But I don't believe that that's what's happening. The track record for EA right now isn't really great on this stuff, and the words being said to us basically tell us that this game is doing the problem that we don't like. So it'll be interesting to see. What do you guys think about this? Where do you think we really are in the current state of things with single player and multiplayer, and if things are good or bad or getting worse or getting better? Talk about that stuff below. It's a really interesting topic and an interesting debate, I think. So that'll be it for me today, guys. Tell me what you think. Thanks, of course, as always, for tuning in. This is Rob of Rule 2 Review, and I'll catch you next time on another video.